Here's a reason you should consider going to land auctions, even if you're not necessarily ready to buy, but you're interested in learning about land markets in your area, trends and the processes, and just learning everything that you can before you end up buying your first farm.
You talked about auctions. Tell me, I really don't know much about like a land auction. What does that look like? Like, is it on the computer? Is it on the phone? Like, what is it? What happens?
You can dream up any of the above. So right now, it seems like online auctions are obviously like the baseline. So I have an auction coming up actually next July. So we'll just talk about this one, for example. And a lot of these are like these mixed use properties. A lot of them are going to online auction. The reason being is it's really hard to price properties right now because you don't know the market. We don't know what they're worth at this point because it's been going so crazy. So like the one way to find out is to do an auction. You're going to find out what it's worth that day. And so, for instance, so you talk with the owners, you set a reserve. I always suggest for there to be a reserve. Like it's hard to say what could happen in the world leading up to that auction. And I think owners reserve the right to have some baseline of safety to where they're comfortable. So you have a reserve, you have an online auction, you go in and register it, and usually have bidding open for 5 to 10 days, and people bid on there. Most of the bidding occurs like within the last couple of minutes, and then it's a soft close. So like if it closes at noon and you get a bid at 11:59, it pushes it back 10 minutes, and then if someone else bids again, it pushes it back 10 minutes. So that's kind of what you have to do with an online auction. But the element of an in-person auction is something that, man, it'll get your heart racing, even if you're not even wanting to buy. You're like, not trying to raise your hand, make eye contact with anybody, and I think everyone's done that. And I think that makes an element to squeeze that room for every single penny and get the true max value of a property if it's marketed properly. And I think on the flip side of that, if it's not a auction company that does it really well or really spends a bunch of money, like when I take on an auction, I'm spending a lot of money to make sure it is successful and advertise the heck out of it. You get some of these other smaller brokerages or auction houses that maybe don't do as awesome of a job, or maybe they have their systems. I've seen where that could be a great opportunity to buy a parcel. So that would be a piece of advice for someone listening. Like maybe they see a 30 or 40 acre parcel and it's mainly timber, which is usually another great way to buy a property that's going up for auction. Tillable, real tough to buy at an auction, but a timber tract that is or under marketed, that could be a huge opportunity. And those are rare too. Like I see 1 or 2 of those a year, and I look for them too. So don't think that you're just going to find one in a week, but because a lot of times they're hard to find for a reason, and that's why they're good.
Does that typically go in favor of the seller or the buyer?
In that situation, you're better for a buyer. But if you're trying to buy, but if that same property is really well marketed, they spent a bunch of money, and they sent mailers out, they ran ads, they have signs everywhere, it's in the local paper, it's in those ones are probably not going to be as exciting. But the thing is, like, you're going to find out if you are wanting to buy that parcel and you think like, oh my gosh, it's going to go for way too much. A lot of times those auctions are what's setting the market value too. Like I remember I was at an auction in November, and I was thinking like, I might go for like 55 on the high end, maybe 52.50, for $6,000 an acre. And then that was the new baseline for those types of properties. And it's gone up even more. And so there's always people that are shell shocked a little bit on those auction results. But if you're the first one leading into it, market's going to follow. It could be a great opportunity there too, but that's all speculation, and everyone looks like a genius right now. So I'm not trying to pretend I'm smarter than the next guy next to me. That's just what I've seen. And it's hard to be wrong lately.
People come, want to buy land, want to buy a house. Are typically most people paying cash? Are most people paying loans? I know that obviously fluctuates with so many different things, but just in a general sense, what do you see when somebody's coming to look? Hey, we want to buy something. Hey, this is our setup. What's the breakdown?
From what I see, most people are financing in some regard, and a lot of that has to do with where interest rates have been too. There's been properties that I know people could buy cash, no issue, but they finance it, and it's like, well, if we're at 7 or 8% inflation, and I'm borrowing this money 3.5%. And I can pay it off whenever I want to, because they are usually, like I said, adjustable rate mortgages. So if interest rates go super high, well, they can just pay it off. So that's kind of what I've seen the most. And even with some of the residential and everything else, most of it is on financing, and that could change as interest rates go up higher, and those people that are buying pieces of ground more likely do have the resource to potentially buy cash or put 50% down. But yeah, that's so fluid with the market. But overall, I'd say most people are using financing. I hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is Jake Hofer, and I'm a real estate agent out of the state of Illinois. And it's my goal to help 100 people buy their first farm. Been doing that with the Land Podcast and clips like this every single Thursday and Saturday that are released here on the channel. And to be one of those 100 people, all you have to do is, if you're in the state of Illinois and I can help you, I'd be happy to do so. Number two, if you want to get connected with someone that can help you, reach out and I'll be happy to get you in contact with an agent that I would personally do business with. And the last one is, if you just simply learn something from the content we're putting out or you get inspired to take action, I want to know, get you out of that spreadsheet. I'm on a mission to help 100 people. Until next time, see ya.